Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is going to be all about learning Python in a quick and easy way that's super beginner friendly. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about variables, which is one of the fundamental topics in Python and in programming in general. Basically, variables are like storage containers. They store pieces of information or data that you can use throughout your program. For example, let's take a look at this box. A box like this, or in real life, is made to hold or store various items. So we can store our favorite comic books, sneakers, or even video games. Usually, what we should always do is label the box. That way we know where our stuff is later and what our box is actually holding. A box is a lot like a variable because variables are able to store things too, but instead of storing physical comics or games, they store information or data. So, just like we would an actual box, we want to label our variable. So in this case, we're going to label our variable fav_game. For our favorite game, right? Since we're going to be storing our favorite game, in this case, our favorite game is Minecraft. So as you can see here, what we're doing is we're placing our favorite game, Minecraft, into this box. One way to think about this concept is that the box or variable is storing our value, or in this case, our favorite game. So our value Minecraft is going into this box. Alright, so now that we've seen what a variable is using the box as an example, let's take a look at what creating a variable in Python would actually look like. The first thing we're going to do is start off with the name of our variable. In this case, we'll use the same example, favorite_game. Once we name our variable, we're going to assign it to a value. In this case, the string called Minecraft. A string is just a series of characters surrounded by quotes, but we'll talk more about strings in another video. For now, think of favorite game as our box from before. We're going to be storing our value, in this case, which is Minecraft, into our variable called favorite game. So remember, favorite game, that's our variable. And Minecraft in this example, that's our value. Alright, so now that we've created our variable, we can actually begin to do different things with it. For example, we can use the print function to access what's being stored inside of our variable and output that variable onto our screen or console. So, using our example from before, we can pass our variable, favorite game, into our print function. And when we do that, we get in return the value that's stored inside. In this case, Minecraft. Alright, let's head over to our Python editor and see this all in action. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is head to a website called Google Colab. This is an awesome site because it allows you to code in Python completely on the web. So we're going to click on welcome. It's going to take us to a site that looks like this. And then on the top left, what we're going to do is hit file and we're going to hit new notebook. And it's going to ask you to sign in with your Google account. So I'm going to sign in.
A few moments later.
Okay, so now that I'm signed in, we can actually start coding in Python. The really cool thing about this website is that it allows you to code in these segmented blocks, which makes running your code piece by piece really efficient and easy. So let's create our same variable from before, favorite game. So I'm going to type fav_game and let's assign it to a string. It's the same one as before, Minecraft. Now remember, anything surrounded by quotes is a string, and a string is just a series of characters. Now that we have our variable created, we can access what's stored inside of it. One way of doing this is by using the print function. So notice that when we place the variable inside of this function and run it like this, our output is what's stored inside, in this case, Minecraft. Okay, awesome. Let's see another example. So let's create a variable called game over, and let's assign it to another string. This time, let's use GG for good game. At the end of the game, we usually say GG. You can also use the print function just like before and access what's stored inside. So let's take a look. So print, and I'm passing in my variable game over, and if I run this code, notice that my output is GG. Now variables don't only take in strings as input. We can also store other data types. For example, we can store integers. Now integers are just whole numbers like 20, 5, -19, and so on. So let's create a variable. Let's call it x, and let's assign it to an integer this time. So let's use 5. Now notice, when you create an integer, you're not going to surround it by quotes, because if I were to surround this in quotes, then Python is going to think that this is a string. So if I want an integer, no quotes. So what you can do is, just like before, you can also access what's stored inside of variables that contain integers. So I can use my print function and pass in my variable x, and in return, my output is an integer number 5. But we can also do some cool stuff with integers, like we can add x plus x and get 10 as our output. We can also multiply a variable by itself, so x times x, and get 25. We can also multiply our game over variable, which is storing a string, by our x variable. Let's take a look at the results. So I take game over and I multiply by my x variable, and look at the results. We're multiplying the character stored inside of game over by the integer value that's stored in our variable x. In this case, it gives us 10 GGs, which is pretty cool. You can even overwrite a variable with another value. So for example, I can set my x variable to something different, like if you liked this video, consider giving it a like. Right? And if I were to print my x variable now I see as an output what's newly stored inside of my x variable. So variables in Python are extremely useful and important, and you're going to always use them. So it's super important that you learn exactly what they are. Alright guys, let's recap what we went over. Variables are essentially storage containers that hold information or data. Variables can store different types of data, such as strings and integers. Variables can be used throughout your program and be overwritten. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new today. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I plan on posting even more videos about Python, data science, and machine learning, all focused at the beginner level, so that way anyone can learn no matter what your background is. Alright guys, until the next one, GG.